going to be the best one yet. We're celebrating 60 years of McKinley. Let's go see what's going on at McKinley.
Since we are celebrating 60 years, some past teachers will be interviewed.
Okay, my name is Macy and I am interviewing Miss Ross today about the history of McKinley School. So what is your connection to McKinley?
Well, I taught 34 years in Owatonna, and all 34 years were at McKinley.
Wow.
That's kind of unusual. Usually teachers end up moving from school to school, but I ended up here the whole time.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
What years did you teach at McKinley?
I started in 1976, and then I retired in 2010, but I did 3 different grades. The first 2 years I was here, I taught 6th grade, which isn't even at McKinley anymore. And then I taught 4 years in 5th grade, and then 28 years in 2nd grade.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
How has the building changed from when you were first started working here?
Well, I'd say the biggest change was probably when they built the new gymnasium that's over here.
Yeah.
Before that, you know, in the library where they have the big high ceiling, that used to be the gym, and where they check out books and everything, that's where they served the meals. That's where the cooks made the meals. That's why there's kind of a dent in there. That's where you would get your meals and that. And so that was a big change. Where the office is now, where the principal's office and the secretaries and that used to be the library.
Wow.
And then the principals and the secretaries used to be in those little tiny RTI reading rooms.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
they were a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And so that was when let's see, the other big change I can think of is the teacher's lounge. They took a wall out, and there had been a speech room or something else, and they made the teacher's lounge
Oh,
larger.
that's a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite memory of working at McKinley?
Oh, just seeing the kids. I love kids, love to work out with them, but one of the great things from having been a teacher is you go to stores and things, and people will say, "Oh, you used to be my 2nd grade teacher. Do you remember me?" And most of the time I do. Sometimes, if they've changed a lot, sometimes I don't. But most of the time I do. And that's fun to see them all grown up and having a job of their own and everything. I like that.
So what inspired you to be a teacher?
Well, I loved school, but I'd have to say it was my 2nd grade teacher. In fact, when I retired, I invited her to my retirement party, and she came.
Wow.
I know. That was great. And if my name was in the paper for anything, when I was in high school or whatever, she'd always send me a note.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she was great. And she's still alive, still lives in Owatonna.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty remarkable person. Her name is Mary Larson.
What teaching tool is used now that wasn't used when you were a teacher?
Well, the last 2 years or so I taught, I did have a smart board. So I did have that. But when I started teaching, they had this machine called the mimeograph. Yeah, I'm sure you've never heard of it. And if you wanted to make a copy of anything, you would make a carbon paper copy, which they don't even use carbon paper anymore. And it would kind of come out purple, and you'd send it through the machine. And some of the machines you had to, kind of make them go around. And then some of them you would just press a button, and they would go around a drum. And then the print would come off kind of light purple. But sometimes if you couldn't read it, you added some clear liquid. I don't know what it was. And you'd print it again, and it would come out better. But then the papers were kind of wet.
Oh, weird.
I know. And so I was really glad when they invented copy machines.
Yeah.
Because that was a good one. And before we had the smart boards, everybody was using chalkboards and overhead projector.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard for me to give up my overhead projector. I really liked my overhead projector. One of the most exciting changes is at McKinley was when we got a telephone in our room.
Oh.
When I first started, I think there were only maybe 4 telephones in the school.
Wow.
There was one in the teacher's lounge. There was one in, we had a kind of a smaller little teacher's lounge on the west end of the building. And then there was one in the office. And I think the nurse had her own phone and maybe the custodian.
Yeah.
So if you had a phone call that came during the day, you'd have to leave your class if it was an important phone call and go to the phone. So I loved when they got the phones in the rooms. And then when we checked out books in the library, there wasn't any of the beeping scanners.
Yeah.
You had to write your name on a card and then give it to the librarian, and then she would keep all the cards. And if you wanted a book, you had to look in the big card catalog system where there was a card for every book in the library, and you looked that up. So no computers for any of that.
Yeah.
So
What do you miss most about McKinley?
probably just the kids in general.
Yeah.
Loved working with the kids. So now that I'm retired, I have a granddaughter who's in 2nd grade. And when she was in 1st grade, I volunteered, and now again this year. And she lives in Manorville, so she goes to the Cass and Manorville schools, and they have the same math book, the same spelling program, everything is the same. So I go in one afternoon a week and volunteer in her classroom, and I feel like I know what I'm doing because it's all the same books and everything, and that's been a lot of fun.
Is there anything else about the history of McKinley you can tell us?
Well, I remember we had, for a while, we had our music programs at the junior high.
Oh.
So the whole school had to walk over to the junior high for the music programs, for the practices, and then in the evening they were there, and then they moved it to the high school. And we had a program called the Wall of Fame. I don't know if those pictures are still up, but they would pick people who had gone to elementary school and became, I wouldn't say necessarily famous people, but people who had good jobs that were good role models in the community, and they would honor somebody every year, and they would come back and talk to the kids and encourage them to do well in school and everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
This will be our last I Wonder. We will reveal the answers at the end.
Who was McKinley's first principal? Did you know a candy bar only cost 5 cents back in 1956?
Did you know in 1956 a gallon of milk cost 97 cents? In 1956, it only cost 52 cents to go to the movie.
Did you know that in 1956 a loaf of bread was 18 cents?
Did you know that a gallon of gas was 22 cents in 1956?
Did you know the average price for a house was $11,700?
The average cost of the new car was $2,050.
Did you know that in 1956 the monthly rent was $88?
Average wages for a year in 1956 are $4,450.
Did you know that in 1956 the popular movies were Guys and Dolls, The King and I, and Around the World in 80 Days?
Did you know in 1956 the most popular musicians were Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, Johnny Cash, and Ella Fitzgerald?
This is going to be a time capsule of McKinley Elementary, and Ben's going to open it up for us.
weather in 1956?
The hottest day in 1956 was June 13th, and it was 99 degrees. The coldest day in 1956 was January 20th, and it was below 18 degrees Fahrenheit.
The first snowfall was November 1st in 1956. The last snowfall in 1956 was April 29th. This is the last scoop of the whole year, and this will be the last joke of the whole year.
Why did Mr. Keel wear sunglasses?
We'll be revealing the answer at the end of the scoop.
The answer to the first principal is James Hawkes.
Since we're celebrating 60 years of McKinley,
We will be showing the past artifacts.
let's go take a look.
My name is Vanessa, and I'm interviewing Miss Carter today about the history of McKinley School. What is your favorite connection to McKinley?
My connection with McKinley is that I taught physical education here for many, many years.
What years did you teach at McKinley?
I started in 1975, and I was here for 3 or 4 years, and then I went to some other schools, and then I came back to McKinley, but over the course of my career, I was here about 20 years.
How has the building changed from when you first started working here?
Okay, the building's changed a lot, especially in physical education, because we did not have the new gym that you have now. The gym used to be when we had first through 6th graders then, and we had the big gym was where the IMC is now. So it was really quite a small gym. The kitchen was where you check out your books now. And so that's the main part that's changed.
What is your favorite memory about working at McKinley?
Oh man, my favorite memory of working at McKinley is the kids, of course. We're always great kids. I guess the kids is probably my favorite.
What inspired you to be a teacher?
I wanted to be a teacher because I enjoyed sports and activity, and I wanted to be able to share it with other people and teach them.
What teaching tool is used now that wasn't used when you were a teacher?
Oh, well, we had no computers at all. We had no fancy cameras. We didn't even have telephones in our rooms when I started teaching.
What do you miss most about McKinley?
I probably miss the kids and the staff the most, and the other activities that we did. The track meets were always great fun. We always did a lot with the Olympics and had big Olympic programs that we did with the whole school.
And is there anything else about the history of McKinley you can tell us?
Not really, not that I can think of.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
The joke was, why does Mr. Keel always wear sunglasses? The answer is because his students are so bright. We're going to miss all of you because this is the last scoop of the whole year. We're going to miss you, and you hope you miss us. Bye, guys.
Dad.
Bye.
Happy 60th anniversary!